I'm muted. Well, good thing I can cut that. Welcome to 2023 MLB predictions. We did this last year. Um, I think I got everything correct. I think Scully was in the basement. I think he picked the Angels to win it all. I don't know. I think that video got lost. Overall, it's weird that you changed your name to Angel Hater underneath it. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, that's not you. You're a big fan. How you doing, Thomas?
Oh, same old, same old. We're at that point in spring training where you're kind of fatigued by all the no-name guys who are at bat every single play, and you just want to skip to the good stuff, like the the honeymoon period of spring training and baseball being back is over. Now let's get to the good stuff. So it's one more week of waiting, and that's finally upon us.
Like, I'm telling you right now, like, if we were the Angels, um, or not the Angels, if we were the Phillies, they wish the season ended one day earlier. We'll start with that news. It has been broke. Reese Hoskins lost for the season, contract year, 30 home run guy, already without Bryce for at least somewhat. Some are saying before All Star break, some are saying after. That's a big hit to a lineup that's very good, but also two people that they are going to miss from the start of the season. Yeah, unfortunate, sad to see. Again, I don't have a dog in that race, so it really doesn't matter to me. But you hate to see non-contact. As soon as he went down, I kind of knew what was happening. It's the same thing that happened with Lux in the Dodgers. So yeah, gone for the
Mhm.
season. What's your initial thoughts on losing Hoskins for the Phillies?
Yeah, and it's rough, especially when a guy had such a great end to the season like he did last year. He really came alive for the Phillies in a big way late in September and in the playoffs. And now that is a whole other bat they're going to be without in the lineup. However, I think for the first time since Harper came to the Phillies, they have the depth required to afford an injury like that. Does this put them a little further back in the division race? Yes. I think this potentially puts the Braves above them for good. The Mets, maybe, depending on how they start their season. Um, but overall, I don't think this will hinder playoff hopes. It's going to be a thing of in the postseason, when you need a big bat, he was so clutch for them at so many points during the postseason. They're going to really miss that late in the season and in the playoffs when they need big bats like his to come alive.
Yeah, we'll get to the division how that shakes up. But yeah, awful news for Reese, especially contract year. So now it's going to be weighted against what he's done before. We know how players play on contract years. Aaron Judge is one. Like, you can make your own future and sign, like in football, Daniel Jones has that year, gets money. It just takes that moment to see where we're at. Little thing more on top about. It blew up over the last week or so, especially in baseball Twitter. WBC, is it important? Do people like it? Is it entertaining? Should it be here? Should it not be here? There's a lot to come down from it. I'm kind of mixed on the overall thing. I think the placement sucks, if I'm going to be real. Like, Yoshida killed it for the Red Sox, but overall, I want Yoshida with the Red Sox during the spring training because he's new. I would like Alex Verdugo with his team. I would like Jared Duran to show that he can play on our team before that. So that's only my thing. I think the injury thing is kind of stupid because I believe it all broke down because Edwin Diaz celebrated, which was really stupid, by the way. That team is absolutely the biggest dumbasses ever for celebrating just moving on to the next thing. Overall, you got to be careful, like when you're doing that. But overall, he could have done it in spring training. He could have done whenever. I just think if you're going to do it, November is the time. Do it Dome Stadium. It doesn't matter if it's out or any. If it's a Dome Stadium, still has the same effect. Again, Rogers Center could have been one of those places that was completely rocking from that. But also Japan wins. That team is flipping scary. Um, Made me more confident on spending $90 million on Yoshida. I was very proud to say, well, who's that guy playing for? Oh, he's playing for the Red Sox this season. His bat is crazy, but I'll go into that more later. We had one of the best moments in baseball history for me is seeing Trout versus Otani. I mean, you can't script that. It was also proven the Red Sox won the Mookie Betts trade because he grounded out into a double play to ruin the Americans' chances. I love that on the record. Yeah, but overall, I think it's. I don't know if this is actual factual. This could be like a Twitter news, but 24 times Trout has went down swinging to a strike, and it's all in his career. And Otani did one of them to him, which is great because that just shows how good of a player he is. What was your overall thoughts, quick thoughts on the WBC overall, and what are your takes? Should it be played in March? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think when it comes to placement, it's rough because if you pick any other time of year, the amount of players that choose to play in it are going to vary. Because if you put it directly after the MLB season, it is it's putting all MLB players at a disadvantage. Because let's say you held it after this year's World Series, all the American players in there would have been incredibly fatigued. Even guys on the Venezuelan, Dominican, Puerto Rican rosters would have been fatigued because they just went through the playoffs. Guys like Altuve, Rodriguez, Soto, those guys would not have been playing at the same level they were playing at when it was played this year. So it would have essentially given the Japanese free reign to beat everybody up because their season, I think, ends a little bit earlier, if I'm not mistaken. Um,
Yeah.
but overall, the tournament, it's kind of like the World Cup, where if you don't have two high profile nations squaring off, it's not as exciting. But like if you get two high profile nations who are known for baseball going against each other, it's phenomenal. Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic, awesome. US Japan, awesome. Japan Mexico, awesome. So overall, it depends on what the matchups are. I would be in favor of maybe shrinking the field a little bit. I know that might be controversial, but if you wanted to get more fans to watch the WBC, especially in America, shrinking the field might be a little bit of a solution, or even getting different countries in the mix. Um, but yeah, I think the last few games really showed that this is an event that I think should be treated like the World Cup. It should be treated like the World Cup, where fans from all over the world gather to celebrate baseball. And I think 2017's was great. It was hype. You had a lot of great players, a lot of great moments, but overall, you maybe had like one or two games that were really competitive. 2023, completely different story. The the playing field has been leveled, I think, now in terms of global baseball. And you got to see upsets like the Dominican Republic not even making it to the semis, which is insane. And instead, you had Japan having to come back from runs down to beat Mexico, and then of course you had Japan US in the final. Um, so yeah, I think overall it's a great tournament, fun tournament, but some tweaks here and there about the structure would probably make it better. And I don't think there's any better time to play it than right before the baseball season.
Overall, I know it never work in baseball because everything's about staffing and everything, but I love single elimination anything. Like that's
Mhm.
why NCAA tournament's so exciting. You put everything. Schwarber fouling off all those pitches, like every one of them, like going left, right, and center, and then just waiting for his pitch to just send it over was just something just awesome. Again, former Red Sox, love him. But overall, just a great atmosphere. I will be transparent. I didn't watch a ton of it till the end. Like I did not watch US play until the championship, or until they played. Who they played? They played Cuba. I watched them play Cuba, demolish Cuba. I think it was. I think it was in a rout.
It was like
Um,
14-2.
yeah. So overall, I think it's a great time. I just don't know when you put it. Maybe a little earlier before this, like February. I don't know. Get them playing a little bit, but I also think it's going to give a distinct advantage to players that played in it because they've seen actual like the ultimate competitive. So hopefully they don't break down. Trout hopefully found out what playoffs feel like and maybe gives a shot.
Well, I think when it comes to volume of playing, Japan and US only played 7 games, 8 games in total. So really, it's not a
Yeah,
whole lot of volume. It's essentially like a week and a half of consecutive baseball games. So it's no
but
different than any 7 or 8 game stretch you would have during the season.
I
It's just that the level of competition varies so much.
well, I disagree with that because when you a Tuesday Twins Twins Brewers game, they're not running every ball out to their highest level. Like they're putting their body through. They were
Well,
going for
then,
some plays that scared the hell
well
out of me.
then,
Like,
then it'd be like a September stretch where you're playing essentially every game for keeps, trying to make the playoffs. It's essentially like that.
all right. So we are going to transition into what we think this season is going to look like and be completely wrong about it. Like, or Scully might be better than me. I don't know. We're going to start with the AL Central. It's just a division that I don't fully care about, but it's up in the air. Me and Scully are going to go through. We're going to pick our 2 teams that we think have a shot to finish the top of the division. We have a team that's going to finish the bottom. And that I guess I will start. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm going to go with, and this is going to be wrong because the Central is never right, but the winner of this division this year is going to be a repeat. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Guardians. It's my pick. The second team that I think is going to fall under them is actually going to be the White Sox. I think they will trade. I think they will trade. I don't believe in enough moves from the Twins to do that. And my most disappointing is the Detroit Tigers. Overall, I don't think they have anything to really look forward to or hope for. I don't like that team that much. But those are my thing. I think the Guardians pitching what they did last year and the small ball team that they have has every possibility to take the division. And I think the White Sox are still trying to. I don't know if that core, that team together, is the right team to build for a championship. Just my viewpoint. Passes to Scully while my dog is barking at me to take her outside. So Scully, take away your 2 picks.
Why too? Yeah, I agree with you on Cleveland. I think that the way they controlled the division last year, it was through a lot of domination in the head-to-head matchups. So whenever they faced Chicago, Minnesota, they really dominated those matchups for the majority of the season. They knew the key to winning that division is to avoid the onslaught of the teams just tearing each other apart, because that's what it's been since Cleveland was in first place back in 2016, back in 2017. It was teams tearing each other apart, ruining each other's playoff chances, and making the teams progressively worse in the process. So I think Cleveland has the formula to do it again. I think they will. They have a young core of players that I think are only going to get better. I underestimated that core last year. I had them winning like 68 games last year, I think, because I didn't believe in the young core they had that year. But now that they're a year better, a year older, a year stronger, I think they'll make, I'm not going to say quick work of it, but I think in a more competitive AL Central, they're still going to be the top dog. And as far as the second team, I am going to go Minnesota. And I like what you said about trading. I think Minnesota, they may not trade, but if you think the White Sox are going to trade with that cheapo Jerry Reinsdorf at the helm, you are you're sorely mistaken. Reinsdorf wouldn't trade a pencil for a pen in today's baseball, knowing what the market is now. I don't. I think the White Sox have the correct core. They have the core. They chose the wrong person to lead them, and it set back years of potential contention. It is one of the worst mismanagements of talent I've ever seen on any professional level. And it's going to take more than one season, I think, to rectify that. I like the Grifol hire. I like I like what he brings to the table, but I think Minnesota, especially with the acquisition of Pablo Lopez, I like what I'm gonna I feel like I feel like I'm gonna like what I see from the rotation this year enough to confidently say they can get that second place spot and probably a wild card spot too.
Just quick, your team, is it the Tigers as well, or is it the Royals? Is your
Last place
disappointment?
team, I gotta go Tigers. I just don't like I don't like what they have on any level. Paying 200 million to Javi Baez, you're just burning money, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we'll talk about. We're gonna do a sports like our futures before the season starts, like what bets we would make, like if there's any that we think are bet. Again, I don't back any of them. I'm not sponsored by anything. I use Barstool Sportsbook. I like their player props, especially. They have a lot of fun ones of like pairing up players against home run totals, strikeout totals, and hit totals. It's going to be interesting to see how you play that. But overall, I think we have the two. The only thing difference is the White Sox Twins, but we both have the same division winner. So hey, look at us. We're doing something uh, nice to each other, and we're going to agree. So if I'm wrong, you're going to be wrong with me. Um, okay, the next one. Some of these will be longer. Some of these will be shorter. This one I expect to be a little bit longer. We talked a little bit last time we were on call together, but I feel like an in depth of where we see it going um, is going to be interesting. I This is the NL East. Reese Hoskins going down. Uh, Basically, the only one to not take a blow is the Braves. So I made this pretty easy for myself. I'm going to go Braves Phillies. I think the Mets are the third down. Now, that being said, I don't see them not making moves to fix that problem overall. I think they will get a closer. I think they will get a bullpen arm. I just don't know how many great ones will be available for them to grab right away. But the Braves, I think, is the most complete team out there. I like their pitching. I think Strider is like a hint for later in the show, maybe an award out there for him for me, if health is there. Um, I think Acuna has a bounce back season. Michael Harris again. I still think they need to be investigated. I've been on record for this. I think they need to be investigated because there's just some shit out there that makes no sense. Like you signed Austin Riley, which I'm not putting him and Devers in the same ballpark, but I will. Is you got him for like $21 million a year. We had to pay $30 million a year. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, uh, whatever. I think Olson again was a Freddie Freeman replace. I think Sean Murphy is a huge upgraded catcher. Their question mark is shortstop, I think, because of Swanson, but I don't think it's a question mark because just like Michael Harris, I think they have the replacement. That's why they did not offer it to Swanson. I think they like what they have in the minors more than they liked in the majors. Ozzy Albies, Austin. I just mentioned these people, and then you're like, oh my god, yeah. And then like the ninth guy is they're still in left field. I think is Azuna, right? Right?
Yeah,
Am I right? Like that's still there. Like this team just in every position has somebody with a bullpen, with a pitching staff, with a coach that knows how to win. It's just going to be an uphill battle. Now, the second place team, the Phillies, I think they have more star power names because I don't know how much Ozzy and Ozuna and Michael Harris travel like to the rest of the world because a Schwarber, a Turner, a Harper, a Realmuto cost way more, are bigger names, but overall, I think there's going to be some mesh issues. I think they are too reliant on Wheeler and Nola. I think that's the problem. One of them go down, it's all she wrote. Their bullpen I watched on Barstool's Pick'em. Smitty was like, "Our bullpen went from bad to elite." I could not disagree more. It's not elite. Um, you got older and more like questionable arms in there, but I think like if Soto has like a bounce back to like 2 years ago, Soto in there, great. You got a gem. If he does what he did last season, that's going to be scary. Craig Kimbrell is nowhere near who he used to be. He's going to be scary. And I think new land, new places scare people a little bit more because you got to think about that. Like Josh Hader left the Brewers, went right over to San Diego, could not figure it out. Like it took him a while to figure it out. So a lot of question marks. My last place is the Nationals. It's just feast or famine. I don't think they have enough at this point. I think they're going to be the most exciting young team to watch. You're going to get cheap tickets to watch them, but I think they're going to struggle a lot this season. Scully, what's your takes?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with most everything of what you said. I think when we talk about Atlanta, and they're my first place team as well, we look at
God,
what they
look
had
at
in
us.
what
We're green. We're green. This is not going to be a contentious show at all. I love it.
when we look at what they had in 2021, they didn't have Ozuna. They didn't have Ozuna. They didn't have nearly the pitching prowess they had last year and they will have this year. So if Ozuna can revert back to his 2019-2020 form when he was with the Cardinals and his first season with the Braves, the shortened COVID season, then I think you're going to see more consistent hitting coming from the outfield. We also, I mean, again, people say shortstop. Grissom and Shumaki, the two young shortstops, they were sent down to AAA a couple days ago, and they're going to start the season with Arcia at shortstop. Arcia is a solid 9 guy. I mean, you don't have to fill your opening day roster full of young. Now, this is 100% contract, but this is like 100% trying to give them the extra year of team control over the players, contract wise. That's 100% what this is because we know what Grissom is. We know he's going to be good. The question is, will that develop consistently over the course of the season? No one's asking him to be Dansby Swanson from 2022. They're just asking him to be Swanson when he first started. You know, bottom of the order guy, can hit for average, can also hit the long ball as well. And I still think if that starting five is fully healthy with Freed and Soroka and Kyle Wright and Charlie Morton and Spencer Strider, a fully healthy 5-man rotation, that is the best rotation in baseball. That is a rotation that if you see that in the playoffs, you hand in your card and be like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm going to go home. My season's over. Like, you're not winning a
No,
3, 5,
not
7
when
game
you.
series with those 5 guys out there fully healthy.
Yeah, okay, that's your key word. Fully healthy. It's a team that
Well, that's what
struggles
I
with
mean.
health.
Fully healthy, yes. Of
And
course,
Charlie Morton, stop it. Stop it. You can't keep telling me Charlie Morton's the top of the top. Like, help that be a 5-man rotation. I
he's the
still
fifth
think the
guy.
Yankees have a better five, if healthy.
Ugh. Ugh. I don't like that.
Rodon,
Um,
Cole, Nestor Cortez, um, shit.
what?
I
Frankie
just
Montas?
Servo, yeah, and Frankie Montas, I will take over Charlie Morton. I have to. He okay.
No,
Who's your
I'm
second
sorry.
place
I
team?
won't. My second is Philly. I think the Hoskins injury hurts, like I said, but it's not a season derailer. They are going to have to rely a little bit more on Trey Turner, which I think after what he's been able to do the last few years, especially in the WBC, he'll be fine going into the season. I think his production can replace that of Hoskins and not more. The problem is he can't replace 2 positions of production. So they're going to have to find a way to expand the outfield depth, get some fresher legs in there every few days, and avoid running their outfielders into the ground. Avoid trotting Harper out there every single day. Not saying he can't do it, but you can't trot your 13-year, $335 million guy out there in the field every single day and don't expect some wear and tear to go down. Um, and again, rotation wise, it's gonna hinder. It's all gonna lay on the shoulders of Ranger Suarez and Taiwan Walker. Can they be the effective 3 and 4 guys Philly needs to round out the rotation, or are we gonna see 2 out of every 5 days Phillies win because of Nolan Wheeler, and the other 3 days they're cooked unless the offense goes berserk, which it will at times because it's a very strong lineup. But you can't rely on those bats 100% of the time. Otherwise, when October comes, or if even October comes, they're going to be worn down. And when it comes to the Mets, they're third. Again, issues still remain about the rotation. Senga's looked good in spring training so far. Quintana, I don't know. New York does a lot of weird things to pitchers. I also think that the lineup is not as strong as people say. I like Nimmo, I like Lindor, and I like a lot of these guys. But these are a lot of guys who, aside from McNeil, struggled above average upon long stretches of the season. So that's going to be a struggle for them. So that's why I'm picking them in third place.
And who's your last name? Same as me.
Nats again, fun
Right.
team to watch. Great if you live in the DMV area, it'd be worth it to go watch a game. Cheap tickets, fun time.
Um, Now the moment we've been waiting for. Some will say, especially me and Scully. Um, it's AL. It's AL East time. Some consider the best division in baseball. Um, I don't know this season. We will see. Because I think like I think the NL East is a really good division right now. Oh, okay. So division winners. I struggled. I went back and forth with this for a while. I'm about as unbiased can be when I think of my team. I have not seen my team on the field yet. I have not seen them play a full season baseball game. Get back to me in 2 weeks. I will let you know how much I feel about this team, how much I like. What I will say is my first place team is the Blue Jays. Um, I think this year is the year that they take the step forward. I may be eating crow. My second place team is the Yankees. Um, I think anybody can. I think this division can eat itself pretty easily. Um, I think overall, the Blue Jays' young staff. I think I like the Chris Bassett signing. I like the Brandon Belt signing a lot. I also hate it as much as possible. Um, I I think I think the most underrated trade of the offseason, I think Scully talked about it too, but like no one's really understanding that, I don't think fully. But that trade to the Diamondbacks is crucial for this team, like massive. I think Varshu, I think the Diamondbacks gave up on him a little, like way too soon. I think he's going to be great. Um,
Well, they're still a
uh,
rebuilding franchise, and
well,
and
I
and
know,
and
but
when you're offered the best catching prospect in the pipeline,
yeah.
along with a guy like Gurriel, kind of have to take it.
Yeah, fair. But I still think he's going to be massive for this. I think Kiermaier, just as a defensive, like put him out there is going to be great. So I think the Blue Jays too takes a step forward. I hope the sequel is better than the movie from the first movie that Vladimir put out there because he said that he's like, well, this year was my trailer, this is the movie. I'm like, and then you just had a disappointing Boba Shat, I think, should be moved to second base at some point. I don't think he has the shortstop ability. I think he's an error waiting to happen. I think they have a lot of pieces. A lot of pieces. I hate them overall, but I don't hate them as much as second place team. The Evil Empire, the New York Yankees is second, could be first. I don't think this team made enough moves forward to make their team like incredible. And no one is saying it. Everybody's just like, yeah, this is the greatest team in live, blah, blah, blah. Judge had a great season. Judge had an amazing season, but your offense was piss poor to say the least. There was a stretch that you barely won. Your team that you compare yourself to, the Astros, you're literally in second place. Like you got swept out of the playoffs from them, and your moves was to help a pitching staff that didn't need the help. Like it's weird. You trade for Benintendi, Benintendi's now gone. You get Bader, he's now out for an extended period. Rodon injured arm, which is forearm tightness, which that has never led to a lot of bad injuries ever in baseball. No, not at all. Josh Donaldson is still your third baseman. You're battling with these young guys of Volpe and I can't think of Peralta and Peraza. Let's hope they're great, but if they're not, I don't know where you're going. Overall, I think their bullpen has still got question marks too, where it was at the end of the year. But I think they have the stuff to possibly to run into a few. It just is. I think I can't deny Cole and Rodon, if healthy, are terrifying to go into a 3-game series against if those two are pitching. It's got to be freaky, unless it's in Fenway. Um, my third place team, because I want to spend a little time on it, because we haven't talked about them at all this offseason, really, between me and Scully. We are Red Sox fans. We are unapologetic about it. The Red Sox, I do have finishing third. Some will say, Cody, what are you talking about? This team has 76 wins, and you're like, this team's terrible. I have to 100% disagree. I just do. The Bogarts, yes, was a great shortstop. He was an absolute boss. His power was nowhere near where we needed it to be, and that was a sign for a while. He would get on base and then just flourish. Like no one else could drive him in. Martinez was a shell of who he was before that. Nathan Eovaldi missed a ton of time last season with an injury. We had to have seen something to not bring him back. We add Kluber. We lose Rich Hill. People are like saying, well, of all we added, we gained nothing back. I think we added a veteran presence that's actually got more pop than Bogarts and Martinez probably combined, if healthy, in Turner. I think Turner has a great veteran leadership that will help us. I think Yoshida is going to be terrifying for people. I just do. I think that ball, the way he was able to put a ball on a barrel and send it out like completely like parallel with his body showed me everything I needed to see. That dude is crazy good. Duvall had my thoughts on the signing after spring training right now. My thoughts are gone. I am fully okay with Duvall being in my lineup. That dude can mash and mash with the best of them. I need them to trade Bobby Dahlbeck. I need Bobby Dahlbeck off my team. Strikes out 36% of the time is going to be a problem. But I think our pitching staff, if Sale is healthy, which I know is a big question mark, which is not, I can't bank on it. With Kluber, holy shit, if Hal can stop giving home run derbies up, I don't know what the hell happened this spring training. Maybe he's just testing things out. I don't know, but it's awful. Garrett Willock, but what's Bellows' first name? Brian?
Yeah, Brian Bello.
Brian Bello, I mean, came back 2 pitches. I mean, we're young at this point, but we could be. And our bullpen is you want to talk about cool, is elite. Our bullpen went from trash to elite. Jansen, say what you want. I'm excited for the ninth inning, and especially how he's adapted to the pitch clock. So that's not my thing. The worst team in the division, the Baltimore Orioles. We might take. I think they will finish last. I think they're a year away from making the final presentation. I just because they have a 6-year window. They have a 6-year window, and then everybody will become free agents and sign otherwhere. So they have 6 years to make something happen. They're going to be. They're not there yet. They're 1 year away, I think, and that's my take. They'll be last place. Your opinion on the AL East?
Yeah, you did this on purpose, didn't you? You're now making me defend the team that I fucking despise. Because I have the Yankees in first, and the Blue Jays in second, and it's really for one simple reason. I think the Yankees they had an issue last year where all they could do was hit home runs. They could barely get on base. They had a hit for contact problem, and that problem is solved primarily by one man, and that's DJ LeMahieu, who I think is the most, aside from Judge, the most valuable player on that roster because he is a top of the lineup staple that can get on base, hit for contact, and drive pitchers crazy with long at bats. He is the guy who gave Tampa fits in 2020, kept them alive against Houston in 2019, and he's going to be the guy that takes them to the top of the division in 2023. That is, I wouldn't call it a bold prediction, but I would say he has arguably as large of an impact on the Yankee offense as Aaron Judge does. Because I really, really like him as a player, even though he plays for the worst franchise ever. The Blue Jays, I love the Varsho move. I like what they did with Bassett and bringing him in as well to boost the rotation. But but there's other parts of that rotation that I don't trust. Barrios, don't trust. Iwakuma, don't trust. And overall, I think this is a starting rotation that has the potential at times to just give up a lot of home runs. And in the East, where all five teams are getting better all at the same time, that's going to be a problem for the rotation. So I think the division race is close, maybe like a 2-3 game margin. I'm still taking the Yankees. I hope I'm wrong, like I was last year when I picked Toronto. But as of right now, I still think they pull away with the division in the last couple weeks. And last place team, still the Orioles, which is nuts because I think all five teams have a genuine case for top half of Major League Baseball in terms of talent and potential. I could
We
see all
just
five. I could see any one of the five teams making the playoffs. I could see any one of the three teams finishing third place or higher, even second place or higher. You could make an argument for any one of those five teams to have a wild card spot at the end of the season, which I think is great which is great for competition in the division.
who was your third place team?
Third team is the Red Sox. I have the Red Sox in third. Like in terms of overall rankings, like Boston 13, Tampa 14, and Baltimore 16. So like the margins between all five teams are rather thin, but I think ultimately LeMahieu, his return is what's gonna propel the Yankees to the top at the moment. And I just don't have enough faith in the Toronto rotation, especially away from the Rogers Center, to consistently perform. So
I mean, you're trusting a lot of upper 30-year-olds for that Yankees team overall to win. Yeah, maybe I'm hoping you're wrong. This just proves tonight that Scully is team Yankees, and he's rooting for
oh
the
boy,
Yankees all season long to be
here we
right.
go.
So that's gross. Yeah, I will pray for their demise. I hate to put it in second. I honestly think they could, like, if Rodon is out for an extended period of time. I Judge missed time every year up until last year. I'm I'm not rooting for injuries, but I'm saying, can
Well,
that
no,
man stay healthy again?
it's
Come on.
it's the same dilemma as
And you're
the Mets and the Phillies. If injuries derail part of that roster, sub 90 wins. Sub 90 wins. I'm telling you. But if we're gonna go into this thinking everyone's healthy and everyone can have some level of consistent production as a fully healthy player, I will take the Yankees.
that is fine. Disgusting, but you have to live with yourself, not me.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
And honestly,
I
they could
keep
have been like
myself.
they could have been the clearest win of all time, like guaranteed win, and everybody else in the division is terrible. And I would have still probably picked a team higher because I won't put them down. Yeah, so that'll be interesting. Um, okay. So next is didn't take as long as I thought. Like normally we would chat a little longer. They'll show up again. Well, I always find a way to throw them into at some point. So our next conversation, I don't know how much conversation, but we will see. It is the NL Central. Uh, the three the teams versus two teams. So overall, we are going with the NL Central. My pick, I don't think it's that surprising for anybody, is going to be the Cardinals for first place. I think the Cardinals clearly have the best team. Adam Wainwright is now out. Their pitching staff does have question marks. Don't get me wrong. Like, I can't say that they're going to be um, the most unstoppable team possible. Really surprised they didn't go get a shortstop. But I think they really like who they got, like who they have coming up into the system. They're just a plethora of like their farm system's really strong. Their current roster's pretty strong. Their pitching's got question marks, but overall, I think that's it. Um, I think my second place is the Brewers. I don't think this is like I don't think I'm breaking the mold or doing anything crazy with this. Um, I just think overall Cardinals have it. Their home field advantage, I think, is very strong. That's one that really goes into it, and then also that team dynamic. I think Goldschmidt coming off MVP, Arenado. I think Tommy Edman, I think, is a really strong player. Losing Bader was weird, but I think Jordan Montgomery was a really good draft trade for them. Like overall, I think I that one's still on. What he did in the playoffs for the Yankees made sense afterwards, but it still made no sense when it came
That
down.
was
It was
that
so
was one of those
confusing.
trades where it was mutually beneficial for both sides, for the players
Yeah.
involved. They needed a change of scenery so bad.
Yeah, it was just like out of the blue, and I was like, "Oh!" And then look at him; he had a great season. Um, so yeah, it's Brew Crew. Um, I think they added some pieces, they lost some pieces, but overall, I still think the pitching staff of that team is their bread and butter. I think the three starters are just great. Um, bullpen is still, I think they have the arguably one of the best closers in baseball to close out games for them. Gosh, I really wish we could
Ooh,
go back to a time.
wait,
Huh?
Reyes?
The Brewers?
Oh, I thought you saw about the Cardinals. I'm like,
No, 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 no. I'm not saying that. I'm saying Devin Williams.
yes. I'm like, oh
You
my
agree with
god.
that one? Okay, I figured you would. I think one of the best closers. I really wish I could go back and look back at the season, which I might do. Me and you might look back at the season, like a retrospect of look back to Christian Yelich and I think Cody Bellinger, right? Were no, they did not win the same. They both won MVPs though, and they are both the biggest fall from graces like in the history of the universe.
Well,
Like,
Bellinger was more like he jumped off a cliff. Yelich has been a steady decline since 2018.
yeah,
Just
like
crazy.
I think his back is really fucked. Like, if we're being real, I think it's been fucked. I don't think they're being
From
honest
carrying the
with that, but
franchise, yeah, I agree.
that's true. But overall, those are my picks. My last place in the division, I'm going to go with the Reds. I think they'll trade Votto. I just read an article today or this week. If Votto asked to go to the Blue Jays, they'd trade him, but he hasn't asked. What? What do you mean you're just gonna like what? That's crazy. I mean, I know it's Canadian stuff, but that's weird. But they would just give up. I think they're going to trade pieces. The Pirates are going to trade, but if they get a price that they want from Reynolds, they'll be fine. Overall, let's see if he does. I think third place is the Cubs, but I think that's still a distant third this
Damn,
year.
that's crazy because I like have the exact same rankings.
I knew we would on this one.
But here's the thing. But I think there's less disparity, I think, between the Brewers and Cubs in my mind than in your mind, because I think the Brewers they're on the precipice of falling off. I think the Hader trade
Oh yeah,
it was the start of an indignation from ownership and from management, like, hey, we did our best to compete with what we had, but we choked in 2018. We should have won. We crapped the bed in 2019, allowed the Nationals to come back. 2020, we sucked. 2021, we blew it to the Braves when it was honestly the most competitive series the Braves had in that entire playoff series. And 2022, they didn't make the playoffs. So this is a sort of come to Jesus moment for Milwaukee. Your star player is no longer a star player. Your pitching staff is pissed off because they keep taking the fall for all your mistakes, and you make little minuscule changes to the lineup every year that are never enough to completely turn the tide in your favor. It's not enough to get where you need to be. So Cardinals win the division by, I think, 8, 10 games probably. They probably have it wrapped up by the beginning of September. I just don't think anybody in the division is stopping that team. Goldschmidt and Arenado are both beasts. Like either one of them, I think, could win MVP this season. One of those two might end up winning MVP this season. And the rotation is still solid. They added Contreras as the Yachty replacements. So the team doesn't look as different as it did last season. So I expect especially the younger guys like Donovan and Gorman to continue to grow. And we might see Jordan Walker before the end of the year, who is one of the most exciting prospects in baseball. So fun times if you're a Cardinal fan. Bad times at the El Royale for Milwaukee. I could see a scenario where the Cubs end up in second, but I think that would take a fully healthy season from their entire rotation. Smiley, Stroman have to stay healthy the entire year. The young guys have to come up and play well, and Swanson has to essentially repeat his production from last year to this year, which is going to be tough to do because last year was a career year for him. So it's not impossible, but it'll be very difficult for them to get past that 500 mark. And the Pirates and Reds can fight for the first overall pick in next year's draft for all they want. Ultimately, the Reds, I think, win that battle. So Reds in fifth, everyone else follows.
yeah, I agree. Also, I won't tip my other few picks, but I put a parlay of my six people, $20 to win 1,600 if it hold. Like that's crazy. Like if they were all, if I was correct. Too bad I'm not going to be. That's why gambling is not a for sure thing. If you need help, go seek out 1-800 my gambler. Gambler. Okay, so the next one, probably our funnest division to talk about. It's the AL West. Um, okay, so this is not me being wrong. Okay, I'm just gonna say this. This is not me being wrong. My first place team, I have the Seattle Mariners.
Interesting.
I wanted to have fun. I don't believe now. If I put them in there, it's like $5,000. Okay, I have the Astros currently locked in my parlay, but I want to have fun with this. I want to root for a team that has a shot, and I think this team has a shot. I think this team has a very good shot of rivaling against them. Um, I do think the Astros should be the favorite and are my second place team. Like I think it will be close. I could also see them running away and clearing out this division pretty easily. But I want to root for a team that I enjoy watching, and I think Seattle's it. I think their pitching staffs. I like their pitching staff. I like their bullpen. I like the young team around them and what they've built. Um, Young teams like that can catch fire. Um, I think Altuve being out, and if he comes back and has to get it takes a while to get warmed back up. Bregman has injury history. If Tucker and that Jordan Alvarez, that dude's awesome. Like, don't get me wrong, all these things are possibilities. But that's where I'm leaning. They're the defending champs, but I think they could take a regression. Their pitching staff lost Verlander. At the end of the day, they have to replace a Verlander. They did not replace a Verlander at this point. They are trusting with what they have, and I think that's a good trust. But at the end of the day, uh, the Seattle Mariners are basically bringing everybody back besides Mitch Haniger, I think. I don't know who else they really lost, but that's my pick. My third place team, and has a shot to make the division with a winning record this year, is the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I think
The futurist,
if healthy,
everybody, the futurist.
if healthy, they will contend and they will cause problems. I think
Ohtani's agent when he's trying to negotiate the contract next year.
I think we'll break mid-season. Shohei Ohtani is staying in Los Angeles with Trout. I think he signs an extension. I think he stays. I think he likes what they're building. I think they have spent money. I think it comes together this year. I think they have a decent. They have spent money. You can't say they haven't spent money. They have spent money. Are you telling me they have not?
Here we have Gio Urshela and Brandon Drury.
Okay, listen. Are you going to really Brandon Drury hot trade piece last year? Tell me the Yankees wouldn't like Gio back at this point. Like, come on. Rendon healthy? The things could get going.
You just named something that will never happen, but all right.
Things could get going, buddy. Angels third. I think they will have a Brandon's back. And hey, wait for awards talk at the end of this episode. Hey, I might have some Angels in that one. But overall third. And my last place. What? Awards? Are you high? Like, you can't tell me I'm wrong. Awards.
Oh, you mean like individual awards? Okay.
Yeah. You think I'm talking about the playoff picture? Maybe first round upset. We'll see. Overall, my last place team is so bad I can't even think of the fifth team in the division. Ranger. No. Who am I for? Oh.
Oakland.
Light it on fire. Worst team in baseball by a large mile, has nothing to look forward to besides moving to Vegas. This is Major League, the reverse story. The movie, this is what happens when the team completely falls apart and they have to move to Miami. This team is going to be atrocious to watch. I don't even know if I'll watch a Red Sox game in Oakland. Like, I don't know if I want to even watch an empty little stadium hit my home runs against concrete.
If they wear the navy blue alternates while the A's wear green, it's a nice little color on color matchup.
I'm on that. Yeah, so Seattle wins the division. Astros are up there. They could flip-flop. They will. The whole point of this was first place, team that can contend with them for the first place. So Astros, and the team that will have a winning record could be making the playoffs. The Angels. Scully, tell me why I'm 100% right.
No, I'm not going to do that because I still think the Astros will win the division. If you watch the playoffs again, Altuve was kind of ass in the playoffs. He couldn't figure out how to hit, unless it was against the Yankees, which, I mean, ever since the whole buzzer debacle, he's actually owned them in like every matchup that they've had, regular season or playoffs. They essentially replaced Verlander with Hunter Brown, who is supposedly like really, really good. So he'll be fun to watch this season. You also have Valdez and Javier, two of the best pitchers in the game. If you're in the playoff series, and those are the two guys you see first. Just pencil yourself down as a 2-0 deficit before going to whatever home stadium you live in. Um, but aside from that, they pretty much bring everybody back with the exception of a couple of platoon guys like Mancini, Diaz, Gurriel. Jose Abreu is a fantastic addition to that team. I think he's going to be a real difference maker at the plate this season. Yes.
I want to flip my choices. The Astros to first and Seattle to second.
Did you
I
forget
forgot
about
about
Jose Abreu?
I forgot about Jose Abreu. I'm a
Yeah.
professional. So I'm going to say Seattle will contend and have fun, but yeah, Astros will win.
Well, yeah, I think it's ultimately going to be a lot closer than like the 16 game deficit it was this season. It's gonna be more like 99, 95 or something like that. Because Seattle, I think, is a better team right now than what they rolled out last season. I think if you look at guys like Toro, Frazier, Santana, and Jesse Winker, really, good players, but they were not. They had one specific niche that they could do. Santana, clutch power hitter in late innings. Frazier, clutch contact hitter in late innings. Toro, purely for depth. Winker lost his job in like May of last year, and it was kind of brutal to see. I love the addition of Teoscar Hernandez. I think Colt Wong is a really good veteran piece they added as well, as well as Pollock. He'll essentially be what Frazier was as a utility piece. And then I like the addition of Cooper Hummel. I like that a lot. You give the big dumper, Cal Raleigh some support there at catcher. You also get to maybe unlock a little bit of his game that he maybe didn't get to do in Arizona, which is why the trade for Kyle Lewis I think is going to be beneficial for both teams. As Lewis was sort of phased out in the outfield as the season went on, with Kelenic and Rodriguez both making massive gains in 2022. Julio should have been on the cover of the show this year. I am astounded that he was not the pick. Jazz, fun guy, great to watch, great for the
So
coach.
dumb. So
But
dumb.
Julio is going to be
But he
the face of
wasn't.
baseball for the next 10 years. So
Incorrect.
who's the face of baseball?
I mean,
What?
there's no bigger. Like, well, maybe 10 years? Sure, I might give you that. But, like, I think Shohei is like,
Well, yeah, I'm like as
there's
far as
no,
like
if he stays where any close to what he's doing, he's
he
better
needs
than Babe
to
Ruth at this point.
get out of the fourth place finishing. Well,
You
income.
have them in fourth place?
I have them below Texas. I do.
You're drinking the Kool-Aid in that awful amusement park of a stadium?
Yes, absolutely.
You're a
Because
trash can. Trout no
yeah,
Tani, and you have them bottom. Go ahead, talk about it.
yes, I bang a lot of people from Houston. I am a trash can. But when I think, look, I've beaten the dead horse on the Angels so many times. I don't think they have the pitching to contend. They don't have the depth to contend. Urshela and Drury, good pieces to improve the offense. But if you can't have a healthy Rendon, if Trout misses time, and if Otani can't replicate the production, not saying they won't. I think they will, but it's very difficult to maintain that level of production year after year, carrying an entire franchise on your back that can keep you in the game via pitching. You're going to be what the Phillies were for so many years before this past season. You're going to be a great team on offense with no support on the mounds. That is ultimately 85 wins, 87 wins is the ceiling I think, for the Angels right now. They are an incomplete, inconsistent team, whereas the Rangers,
87 wins can get you to the playoffs.
that's why I said the ceiling. That's the ceiling. That's not, I think they're still like 75, 77 win team. But with the Rangers, again, DeGrom, his health is what it is. But if you can get at least half a season of Jacob DeGrom on the mound, you're going to get like 5 to 10 wins out of that. Eovaldi, Heaney, Odorizzi, not, superstar signings. But if you put enough arms in that bullpen to tide you over, you're going to be able to have some level of success while your offense flourishes with Seager and with Simeon. I do think both will have bounce back years because of the support they're going to get on the mound. And I think Bruce Bochy is also going to play a key role in that. His leadership is going to, not I wouldn't say change the dynamic totally, but it's going to be a massive shift versus what it was the last few seasons. The signing of Bochy means that Texas is not just a team that throws money at players, but it's serious about how they structure a winning club. So they have that in place, at least, whereas the Angels really don't. So Angels might finish in third if the Rangers tank. Could be possible, but there's only two teams in the division I see making the playoffs, even sniffing the playoffs: Houston and Seattle.
Your last place was who?
I mean, do we even have to talk about them?
No. Fair.
Exactly.
Okay. I can't believe you.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
I hope you, as you're talking about the MLB The Show, where not to date this, but it's close to launching for early access. Yeah, I cannot believe that they gave Jazz. Like, I understand he's a fun player, but holy crap! Like, don't tell me the fun player did not just have one of the best breakout seasons last year. Um, Last one of the divisions. This one faster than I expected. So good job, Scully. Um, NL West. Um, Two horse race. I will say. I think this is very similar. I don't. I what the Giants were able to do like 2 years ago. I just don't think it's there anymore. Um, so my picks to win the division, the San Diego Padres. To actually win the division of San Diego. Um, to come in second is the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers took a step back this year. Just granted, it was nice seeing like a big free agent not get signed by them. But overall, I just don't think like they. I think losing Turner, they traded for Turner, they traded for Scully, they traded for Scully. That's you. They traded for Scherzer.
I hope
Um,
not.
they they traded for these pieces, and then the pieces just walked. So all they did was hurt their farm system, which is a great farm system. Don't get me wrong; they have the room to make those errors. But overall, I think that's the problem. I think, yeah, I just think San Diego added way too much, and their overall team is way stronger than that. What's your opinion?
Yeah, it's funny. I think they did. I think the Dodgers did regress. However, I think it might be the best thing they could have done because this is a team. Last year they won 111 games. Year before they won 105. They won 126 games, 116. Sorry, 216 games over the last two seasons, and yet this might be the most interest. This might be the most exciting team, most exciting Dodgers team to watch in a while. Not because they have oodles of star power, like they still have Mookie, who I think is the most valuable player on the team. They still have Kershaw, still have Walker Bueller, but the young guys that they're going to have this season, guys like Ryan Pepio, Miguel Vargas, uh, Bobby Miller, these are really exciting young players who, in any other franchise, any other club, farm system, they would have been in the majors a year prior to this. But because this team is so good with their major league talent, they've kept them in the minors, just building them up, and it's done wonders for their development. So you might end up having a roster that is young, lethal, but also attuned to the new rules. So there's no learning curve. A team that is fine being underestimated because no one expects them to do anything, and you still have veteran leadership on that roster via Mookie and Bueller and Kershaw. So I
Well, you
I
know Bueller's
I
not
think
there this year, right?
what?
Bueller's out this season.
No, I know, but I'm saying from a clubhouse standpoint,
Okay. Okay.
from
Just
the
double.
intangible
Yeah.
standpoint, he's still out for the season, and that's gonna and honestly, that's why they don't win the division. I think the Padres end up winning the division, but this is gonna be a really fun team to watch. I'm really excited to see what they can do. The addition of Miguel Rojas, I think is gonna be pretty cool. He kind of got lost in the shuffle in Miami, so it's gonna be fun to see him sort of work his own role into LA. That's gonna be really fun to see. But if you look at the guys they lost, aside from the two Turners, I mean it's really just depth guys who didn't really add a whole lot. And honestly, played a big factor in why they lost in the postseason. Kimbrel, Heaney, Anderson. These guys didn't play well in October. So why continue to keep them on when you just bring up the young guys who, yeah, have no experience, but they're not going to blow games for you. So I'm actually excited to see what the Dodgers do this season. I think they still end up in second because I don't think any of the other three teams in that division can come close to what those two teams can give. Padres still win it. Rockies are in last place because um, for a team that lives up high in the mountains, they really have nowhere to go but down.
Oh, look at you. Look at you. Always got a quick whip. So yeah, I think it's an interesting overall take on the division. How would you feel before we get into our end of the season predictions and playoffs? How would you feel if you that I told you that Fangraphs have the Angels with one more win than the Boston Red Sox? Thoughts? 84 and 83.
I mean, props for them having us so high, I guess. That's a scenario I could see happening. I just think that our pitching staff is a lot better than theirs, to be completely honest, especially bullpen wise.
We
Our,
don't have
our, our
Shohei
squad is
Ohtani.
not going to, our squad actually will have a chance to save games. Their squad will be so used to coming in with runners on first and third and nobody out. So that's the main difference.
I mean, Nick Pivetta is one of our starters right now. I'm just going to let that be on the record. Okay.
Yeah, but he's
Uh,
one guy, and he does throw a nice curveball.
if it breaks, okay. So those are our divisions. We will be wrong. Andrew Barr, if you're watching this later, please don't message me in May when the Angels have a good record and say, "Oh, look, you're right, Cody," and watch it fall apart on me. Scully looks so stupid about the AL West right now. It's literally a text I got, and gosh, was he right? So we're gonna get into it. We're gonna go to now our MVPs for the thing. So we're going to start with AL MVP. I'm going to pass it to Thomas Scully to start it. Um, who is your who is the AL MVP this season?
AL MVP. I was split between two guys in the West. I'm gonna take the more exciting guy. I'm gonna take Julio. I like Julio to win a MVP. Similar to how Chris Bryant won Rookie of the Year and then MVP in 2016, Julio wins Rookie of the Year in 2022, AL MVP in 2023.
Um, this is not a condescending question to you, Thomas Scully, I promise. But it's going to come off condescending, so I need you to answer this for me. Who is the only who is the only player in baseball that pitches and hits?
Oh, Shohei Ohtani.
Shohei Ohtani is my MVP for this year. I still think it's just as much as I personally believe that they should not take into other accounts into a most valuable player. They will, and the fact that he's able to do this on 4 games and pitching on the fifth will take into account for me. I don't think it's fair by any means, but I also think he'll have a production numbers to show that. Again, there were still conversations last year that who was the second place vote getter? Shohei Ohtani. The only reason Judge won it because Judge hit 60. Like that's the reason he hit 62. So everybody just wrote that to the end of the day. I just think overall, Julio, I think is a nice story. I think it's interesting. I think sophomore slump could happen to him a little bit. I don't think he has as fire of a season. I don't hope for that because I would love to see him do great. But I think there's more of a shot that pitchers. I think when you're coming up, you're still getting a feel for him. Second year, kind of figure him out, kind of figure what you can do to him a little bit, maybe see some changes. So that's my only takeaway for Julio. But my pick is Shohei. Okay. Any counters on Shohei Ohtani?
I mean, I really have no counter to that. I think they're both. I think he's great, but I
Who
think
was your second? Him?
yeah, he's probably he's my second, and we'll come back to him at some point.
Okay, that's fair. I don't think we'll go too far from that. All right, we're going NL MVP. I'm going to go with. I'm gonna be kind of boring. I think it's a back-to-back winner. I'm gonna go with Goldschmidt from St. Louis. I just think
That's
Goldie.
fair.
I think he has all the like he's got a great team around him. That ballpark's a lot of fun to play in. I think he is. I remember when they traded him from the Diamondbacks. I said that is a he was in MVP conversations when he was in Arizona. I think he's finally found it back. If he can stay healthy, it will be hard to unseat him in that race. Who is your NL MVP?
My MVP. I went a little outside the box on this one.
Ooh, I
I
like it.
considered Arenado and Goldschmidt, but I think both are so good. I think it'll be a split the vote kind of thing. I'm gonna go Manny Machado.
Ooh, okay.
I like. I think Machado betting on himself and making this a contract year is gonna pay off a lot of dividends for him. I think end of last year he really rounded out into that leader and emotionally mature guy in that dugout. He's really the guy San Diego needs from a leadership standpoint to go the distance. And I think that's going to turn into a insane level of production this year. He's going to command a king's ransom next offseason from whichever team he signs with. So I think we're going to see the best year of Manny Machado's career next season.
Your thoughts on that lineup, basically stealing because I think most people would say the favorite leading into the season is Soto. So why is it not Juan Soto?
Well, it's not Juan Soto because he's still what 23 years old, 24 years old.
Yeah,
When he came to the Padres, he was hitting what, 210, 220.
we can't
He's
change the sceneries. Come on.
I know I understand that, but I think Machado. I think from a mentality standpoint, Machado knows how important this season is, not just to himself, but for the franchise. Soto has another year, like another 2 year or two before he hits free agency. He has time to now develop and work on his game. So I think this is going to be more of a developmental year for Soto. Get him in the right mindset to where next season will be a contract year. He can show out, potentially win MVP, and then command a king's ransom in 2024 or 2025, whenever. So I think from just a mentality standpoint, which is an underrated aspect of players and how they perform. I think the season is so much more crucial for Manny Machado than for Juan Soto.
Um, just looking at some odds right now. Plus 175 for Otani to win MVP. Yours plus 1,000. So, and basically the top three getters right now are Otani, Judge, Trout. Then it starts with the thousands and everything that it goes there. Second, close to that is 1,100 is Jordan. So, like, that would be the next one. Interesting on that. I'm going to pull up the NL
Oh,
ones real
by the
quick.
way, Julio's hit like 3 home runs tonight in spring training, so just heads up.
I don't care about spring training. If I care about that, then I have to worry about how ERA. So at that point, it's all zeros right now. I don't care what you do. Even though I like Duval because it's based on what he's doing in spring training. I'm a hypocrite. I don't care. Okay. The, we kind of I wouldn't say screwed up, but we didn't. We do not have the favorites by any means on our pick. Um, plus 650 is Mookie. 650 is Soto. 800 Turner. 850 Cunha Jr. 1,000 is Goldschmidt, and 1,100 is Manny Machado.
I like the Mookie.
So
I honestly like. I considered Mookie before I settled on Machado. I think Mookie, again, big year for him. He's essentially the vet on offense in that locker room.
I think
Um,
also plus 650 is a nice thing to just throw some change on to see if it hits.
yeah,
Because, like,
yeah,
come on, like, if he has anything, I
and
remember last year when he was struggling, and I was like, just keep sucking. He's being freaking miserable. And then he went on like a tear of like hitting home runs in consecutive games or something, and I just wanted to puke. Like, oh, it was one of the biggest fall from graces ever. But yeah,
and going off of Acuna, I if I had to pick a Brave to win MVP, I'm picking Austin Riley. I'm not picking Acuna. I think Austin Riley is honestly the more productive hitter right now in that Braves lineup than Acuna.
um, it's really funny. I'm gonna switch up. I need to change some time here. I we're gonna. You want to? I'll save AL Cy Young for a second because I think we might be able to just say that together. So let's save some time on that one. Maybe not. I don't really know. But I'm gonna go NL Cy Young first. Who do you got for to take your Cy Young?
I got the man who's going to burn Milwaukee to the ground, Corbin Burns.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I think he's going to take the words from Milwaukee management. He's going to turn that into a sub 2 ERA, maybe even sub 150 ERA. Tell them to go fuck themselves, and then demand a trade. Because this man, when he is disrespected, he is unbelievable when it comes to what he does on the mound. He's one of the filthiest pitchers in the game. Every time a team I like goes against him, I turn the TV off out of secondhand embarrassment because it's not worth watching them try to swing at his sliders or fastballs. It's just not worth it. Um, I I don't love Milwaukee as a franchise, but 2018, 2019, when he's on the mound, it's an event at that stadium. It's a whole ass event. It's like Felix with the Mariners. The crowd is jumping. They're excited. They're coming for him. And it's it becomes one of the best atmospheres in the sport when he's on the mound. And now he's become a scapegoat for literally no reason. Because David Stearns has no idea what to do, and he ends up pissing off their best player. So I think this is a revenge year for him. He struggled a little bit last year, but I think this is going to be one of his best years yet, and it's going to end in the Cy Young Award.
My pick is from Atlanta. I'm going Spencer Strider. I think he's 1,100 to win, which I think is a stretch. That dude's K per nine is disgusting. And he did not have. I don't think he played a full season last year. I think he had
No, he
some
didn't. I think
injury.
he was called
Yeah,
up a few.
He only had 130 innings pitched, K percentage of 38%, a walk rate of 8%, a WAR of pushing 5, um, at 2.67 ERA. Fangraphs had him projected for 12 Ks per nine this year. Last year, he had 13.8 Ks per nine. Um, I think this man is going to be slicing and dicing. And I kind of like it as a wild card pick on that because, I think the favorites right now on the line is Sandy Alcantara. I can't ever pronounce his last name. And Corbin Burns. Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer are under the 1,000, and then both Max Fried and Spencer Strider both 1,000. So again, that division's really hard. Honestly, the one that has the best odds right now is American League Cy Young, which I think is crazy, but it is with all the different talks. Yeah, I just think I'm going to be rooting for Strider but I think Corbin Burns is the reality is out there. You shorted him by like what I think $500,000 or something. Like you basically nickel and dimed him
Yeah,
over like thousands instead of like millions. And I tweeted it out there. I still said that if you don't think he's worth that, then you don't understand baseball. So have a good one. Do we have the same Cy Young?
depends on who you have.
I have the same guy I have winning MVP.
Then we have the same one.
Okay, Shohei Ohtani. I think he is still the fact that he is one of the most feared baseball players and the most feared hitters is gross. Just gross. I hate that he's in the AL. I really want him to get traded or sign with an NL team because I just like to not see him. Like even some games, it's too much for me. Um, it's absolutely gross. He's plus 1,000 to win. Plus 1,000. The people ahead of him right now: Dylan Cease of the White Sox, Jacob DeGrom, Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, Shane Bieber. I I mean, what happened between last season and this season makes Shohei not sure.
I
Didn't
mean,
he win Cy Young last year?
three of those guys might not even play a full season.
That's my question. Yeah, I was like, how do you give Degrom 750, but you give Shohei 1,000, which Shohei hasn't missed time. Degrom has missed all time. Crazy. You want to say anything more about Shohei?
He is amazing. He deserves to be anywhere but LA. Um, I mean, I don't want to see him in New York either because that's way too cliche. Um,
Oh,
Send him to a franchise that will actually appreciate him, and the fans will love him, and the bullpen will give him support, you know, and he doesn't have to do everything himself. Come to maybe a team where your Japanese former teammate is. maybe I don't know. Maybe he hits fourth in the lineup, and you hit third. Maybe it could be.
We can change. We can sell Liverpool, and we can get
We
Shohei.
can liquidate the
We can get
Pittsburgh Penguins.
Shohei.
We can liquidate the Penguins.
Yeah, we can get Shohei. I'm fine with that. Sell them all. Listen, they bought the Red Sox for like 280 million. It's worth 4.5 billion.
You could double that if we got Shohei.
Oh my god, I can't. It's not possible. I'm not thinking about it. Okay, now I'm thinking about it. I'm not thinking about it. Thinking about it. Okay. Um. Okay. Gosh, see him with a Red Sox hat would just kill me. Okay. So our next one is Rookie of the Year. AL, I think you did. We predict it right? Did you predict it right last year, or did you predict?
I
I think you
picked
did Bobby
Bobby
Witt, right?
Witt like a dumbass.
Like we all did. We all like it's gotta be Bobby Witt. He's the only one we're talking about. Who is Julio Rodriguez?
And I picked CJ Abrams in the National League last year. Boy, was I wrong.
Oh yeah. I don't know who I picked.
I decided to go against the grain, and that bit me in the ass.
Who did I pick? Oh,
I
I
can't
don't even
remember.
remember. Okay, go ahead.
So
Who's your AL? Yeah, who's your AL?
AL Gunnar Henderson of the Orioles. I first pitch he saw in a major league ballpark, he took 410 to left center. If that's not an indicator of how good this kid is, how about in the games in the stretch since where he had a double digit amount of extra base hits. The kid was flying around the bases all day, every day. He's only going to get better. He's probably going to make the major league roster as well. I cannot wait to see what he does this season with the Orioles, with Rushman and all those guys. And I think he'll be a big enough part of that team where he will be firmly in that race for the entire season. I think AL Rookie of the Year it's less deep than NL Rookie of the Year, so I think Gunnar has a better chance than he would in the National League. So there's a lot of really sneaky good guys in the National League who could scoop up that prize. As far as AL, I'm going with my Gunnar.
Scully already knows who I'm going to pick. There's no question about this.
Oh boy.
He's from the same division. It is going to be Yoshi. I am so pumped. He will be my pick for everything. Yoshida coming to the Red Sox will win the Rookie of the Year. He counts, so you can't tell me he doesn't. He is 100% my pick. As soon as I saw the World Baseball Classic, I said, "Yep, that guy will play great in Fenway." And he can already adapt. I think he can adapt really well to the baseball. People said that, and then everybody was like, "Oh my god, maybe this guy's really good." Yeah, you think? Yeah, you think? I think there's also funny in the division the lines like Tristan Casa is still considered a rookie. Like he's up for Rookie of the Year like right now, which I
And honestly, with all the hype around Yoshi, the spotlight's off him. He could have a very productive year and end up winning the award himself if
he
he
can
plays.
mash. He can definitely mash. The other choices are Volpe from the Yankees, Hunter Brown, and Royce Lewis. I don't know where the two. Like Hunter Brown, you said earlier. What team?
Hunter Brown on the Astros.
Astros. Okay. Um, so those are all the options. I'm a little unfamiliar with the rookies of the year in the National League. Um, Jordan Walker, I know. I think is Cardinals.
Hmm.
Corbin Carroll is who?
The D-backs.
The D-backs. So who do you have in that division? I'm going to go with the Mets international signing because I've seen him pitch.
Senga.
And Senga. I think Senga will take the award.
Fair enough. But it's gonna be Corbin Carroll.
You
Um,
think? You thought
I
Bobby Witt last year. Just
well,
saying.
no, that's fair, but Corbin Carroll actually spent time in the major leagues last year, unlike Witt in 2021.
That's fair.
Um,
That's fair.
Corbin Carroll, this kid is legit. This if the Diamondbacks make a September run, he is going to be the reason why. This guy has incredible plate vision. Is one of the fastest kids you'll ever see run around the diamond. Um, with runners in scoring position, he is beyond clutch. He is going to be an RBI machine. This is a guy who would could I'll say this. This is a guy who I think in the next 7 years will probably win the Triple Crown. I think
Stop it.
he is that well rounded in his game where he can hit for power, hit for contact, get guys on base, and bring them home as well. He is he is a five tool prospect, insane in the field. He made a play last year in the field against I think it was Colorado or somebody where guy was flying out there, like literally left his feet. He was flying for a split second, and it was majestic. I love what he brings to the table. He is exactly the kind of guy Arizona needs to kickstart that transition from rebuilding to contention. So he is a good chunk of the reason why I'm excited for Arizona this season. And I expect him to come away with the award at the end of the season. Now, other guys like Walker, Ezekiel Tovar in Colorado could also make a strong case for it. You could also pick any one of the young guys the Dodgers have coming up. Bobby Miller, Michael Bush, Ryan Pepio, Diego Cartaya. Any one of those guys at some point will probably come up early in the year and be productive at the major league level. So I still think Corbin Carroll is the pick, but the NL West is chock full of really good rookies this year. So if you're on rookie watch, watch the NL West.
Okay. All right, now this is when we get crowing or like we look like idiots. We're completely wrong. We're completely just incorrect, or we could be right. This could be the year we pull it all together. But we're going to go with the playoff pictures and who we have winning overall. We don't have to do a full breakdown of like who wins what game and who wins there. We'll just end it with who we have from the AL coming out of it, who we have of the NL coming out of it, and who we have winning it all. So Scully, take it away.
So you just want who I'm taking out of the AL in general?
Yeah, who is your AL champion? You can tell me who they're playing against each other. So if you had to pick the ALCS, who is it against?
Yeah, if I had to pick the ALCS, yeah, this is tough because I think the AL is just so. I think like over the course of a season, it's so different than in a playoff series. But in a playoff series, I'll take the Mariners over the Guardians in the ALCS. Give me Seattle, give me Cleveland, give me two long-suffering franchises battling for a chance to get to the World Series. I think Seattle wins their first pennant. I think they have the pieces to make the deep run. The pitching is there. Gilbert and Kirby are going to be insane this season. Kirby especially. George Kirby could end up winning could end up taking the Cy Young from Shohei. I think he's that good. Same with Luis Castillo. Whether or not Robbie Ray will still serve up meatballs to Jordan Alvarez, we'll see. Because that was probably that was the dagger for Seattle in that series. Was that home run? But I think they have the pieces, and as even though they got swept by the Astros last year, if you take away two Alvarez home runs and a Pena home run, you can easily say that it goes three zip the exact opposite way. So the disparity between those two teams is not as wide as it was last season. I think in a playoff series they conquer the Astros this time, and then in the CS in a 7-game series, I like the depth of the Mariners over what the Guardians bring to the table.
Okay, so I thought my picks were going to be crazy. So I have the Blue Jays versus the Lost. Just kidding. Just kidding. I did it to get the face. That was great. I have the Blue Jays taking on the Astros. I have the Astros winning it. I think just overall, I think this team is still farther ahead than most teams are. Because I think we need to start looking at that side. It's like we always want our teams to make moves and want them to go, but how close are these moves and financial agreements to these players going to bring us closer to the Astros right now? Like, sure, I would have loved Carlos Rodon, but would that have maybe not us signing like Devers long term? Would that maybe not locking up a player like I think we could lock up? So overall, I have to like look at realistically. I think the Astros are leaps and bounds better than most teams right now. Um, so I'm going to go with the Astros. I know it's unpopular. I would almost love it to be, but the Astros don't get to the final round without um, facing the Mariners before that. So the Mariners they have to beat each other to get there. So yeah, so that's my take. NL, um, I have the Braves versus the Padres, and I have the Padres winning it. Um, I didn't want to do the same because if you want my honest opinion, I think it's Braves and Astros fight for the World Series again, personally. But for the fun prediction show, I'm going to make it this way. I'm going to say that I'm going to go with San Diego winning, and then I'll just do the next step. I think San Diego versus the Astros. I think just because it's going to have to hurt my heart because that's what's supposed to happen. Bogarts is hosting a trophy in San Diego, and I think San Diego wins the championship for the fun of predictions. Again, I think it would be very dumb for me to come in here and pick Astros Phillies or Astros Braves, Astros. I just don't want that to happen in baseball again, which I think is very possible. So my reality is because after we traded Betts, he won a World Series with the Dodgers, even though it's a cupcake trophy and doesn't count. He still won one. And yeah, I think Bogarts is holding up that trophy in San Diego in 6 games. Beats the Astros in 6 with Musgrove's red ears just blink, with all that stuff all over him. That's your world. So we already have the Mariners, right?
Mariners are
Tell
in.
me, okay, tell me who gets there because
They
Scully.
will face the winner of the Braves and the Padres.
Oh, okay.
The Braves, with the rotation fully healthy,
Best 5 in baseball.
win in 6 games.
Best 5 in baseball.
The best 5 in baseball when fully healthy.
No home run over the tracks this year because they don't have.
No.
Okay.
But instead, Austin Riley hits one into Lumen Field to put the Mariners to put the Braves ahead in Game 5, and they win in 5.
Okay. I like it. So we would tell you right now, lock it up. The Astros are winning the AL. Oh, no, you have the Mariners. You have the
The Mariners.
Mariners beating the Braves?
I have the Braves beating the Mariners.
Brave. That's a fun World Series. That's a fun World Series.
Yeah,
You sure it wouldn't be the Angels?
maybe after they've traded Trout and Otani for a team's top 10 prospects.
You're such a trash human. All right. So that's our picks for the season. Um, if you want to ride with me, you're going to bet the Astros because the Astros are going to go there. You want to ride with Scully Mariners. I'll tell you, if you're going to pick the American, I want to see those odds before we go. Okay. Overall,
When are you going to realize the
you
Astros cannot lose to anyone in the ALCS but us? They either have to
that's so
lose.
true.
They
That's
they
so
either
true.
have to lose
We
before the
almost we almost
ALCS or in the World Series.
people still forget we beat them 2 games, and we're 2 wins away from the World Series. You picked Mariners to win the World plus 2,000 to win,
I picked the
plus
Braves to win the World
650.
Series.
Well, you picked the Braves. I
Yeah,
keep wanting to, but
Braves over
I'm
Mariners
still
and Sox.
okay. Still plus 800. Still plus 800. Crazy.
Because here's the
League
thing, I think
winners lead plus
it's the
850.
simple philosophy I think of. The Phillies play the best 4 games they could possibly play against the Braves. They hit them
True.
early in the early innings, and they
And
stayed
often.
ahead and withheld the offensive onslaught that Atlanta had in the later innings. And they had some spectacular fielding plays as well. They played the
But
best
would you
defense they've
say?
ever played. No other team can replicate that in a 5 or a 7 game series. I
But
I
would
think
you say the Astros or the Phillies are better than they were last year?
I think on paper, yes.
Okay.
However, it's not a question of better. It's because here's the thing: the whole idea of you have to win 100 games to win the World Series. It's futile now. Braves won it in
Correct.
2021 off 88 games.
I mean,
Made
Cardinals
it off.
won it on like
Phillies made
83.
it off of 87 games. Cardinals have won it off of 83 games before. You
Yeah.
just need to get into the playoffs and play the best 3 game, 5 game, and 7 game series you can possibly play in order to get to the World Series. The Phillies did that. Now, the question is in October, a year after they did it, how will teams adjust to that? And can the Phillies do it again? That is the ultimate question. So it's not a question of better, it's a question of consistency.
100%, 100%. I'm with Scully. I think it's gonna be fun. We'll be back right. We're doing a special me for Scully draft. We're gonna pick a starting 9, basically. We'll draft the field, a pitcher, and a closer, probably 10, 11 places or 10 places, and see who has the better season. We'll figure out. You can draft in any order. We'll do our own special episode on that, and then we'll tell you about our futures locked in for the first start of the season. We'll probably just we'll do that before the season, and then you'll check back like on a Monday, where we'll be back after the season. So the 30th is opening day. We'll most likely have an episode for you on the third. The third is to explain the weekend, see how it all went down. My heartbreak, my happiness. I think we just decided who our 5 pitchers are, and Cutter Crawford. I got to get used to that, so that's gonna be interesting. Um, but
His name's
overall,
Cutter
we'll be back.
Crawford, and he can't even, pitch a decent cutter.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long season. We'll be here to help you through it. That's Scully. I'm Cody. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.